Controllers are old news. Minimal APIs are now the recommended approach in .NET. In this video, I'll show you the reasons why you should move away from controllers and how to migrate from a controller to minimal APIs step by step. I've used controllers many times in my 20 years as a .NET developer, and the things that frustrate me is the lack of flexibility and how much boilerplate code is needed to write a simple API endpoint. For starters, you need to include the API controller attribute, and it's advisable to add a parent root before you've even created the controller. When you've finally created the controller, you need to inherit the controller base class, and I've seen many examples where services are injected into the constructor. Each of the endpoints needs to be written in a method. You need to include a root for it, and if you've got many of these endpoints, the file gets bloated very quickly, as is shown in this example. Another thing is that this add controllers line alone adds nearly 100 extra services to your application. This adds to the memory usage despite the fact that you might not be using all the services. So at the moment we've got 130 services added. We'll add a breakpoint to the next line, and it's jumped up to 226. That's nearly 100 extra services added. Even Microsoft recommends minimal APIs for new projects, so it's about time we start thinking about migrating controllers to minimal APIs. But one of the things that infuriates me about the Microsoft documentation is how they present minimal APIs in program.cs. They make it look like you have to include all your endpoints in program.cs. And if you're using Lambda expressions or statements, you can't unit test them. But I'm going to show you a much better way of doing it. This is the controller that we're going to migrate to minimal APIs. We've added it to the Swagger document using version 1, and the aim is to migrate the minimal APIs so they use version 2 and display it in this document. It's important to add API versioning just in case clients are still using your old endpoints and a bug is introduced when migrating. To do that, we've added this extension member, and this adds the configuration to builder.services. This is done by installing these NuGet packages, and you can learn more by downloading the code. There's a link for it in the description. Next, we want to add v2 to this drop-down in this Swagger document. This is done by adding v1 as a parameter in add OpenAPI, then we need to add it again, but include v2 as the parameter. This adds OpenAPI documentation for each of the versions. We can loop through each of the versions and then reference it in Swagger. Time to migrate to minimal APIs. But rather than following the example in the Microsoft documentation and adding all the endpoints to program.cs, we've created this map products endpoints extension member, and this is included in products endpoints.cs. The first thing we need to do is we need to create an API version set, and we must set it to version 2 as controllers are using version 1. So this is done by calling app.newAPIVersionSet. We specify that it has an API version of version 2. We report the API versions and then build it. We then set up a group by calling app.mapGroup and specify the root for it. Now the advantage of setting up a group is the fact that we can group all the endpoints in products together. We must remember to add the API version set, so we do that by calling with API version set, specifying the API version set instance, and we can also tag it by calling with tags and products. We are now ready to migrate controllers over to minimal APIs. If you want to go further and build a minimal API project from scratch, I also have an online course linked in the description. It's had great feedback from developers who've taken it, and there are free preview lessons too, so you can see exactly what's included. Back to this video, the first controller endpoint we'll migrate is getting a product. This is where we specify an ID, and it either returns a product, or if it can't be found, it returns a not found error. We're going to add it into a static method and not follow Microsoft's documentation of Lambda statements because it makes it difficult to unit test. We'll go into the controller endpoint and we'll copy and paste the code. We'll fix the syntax issue, and then we need to return TypedResults. The return type shows all the possible return types, and the good thing about this is that it will add it to the OpenAPI documentation. We need to replace the return types with TypedResults. However, this is not going to work yet. We need to add it to the group. We do that by calling group.mapGet. We specify the root, and then we call getAsync. Now it's essential that you include the ID parameter. If you don't, it's not going to work. This represents the ID parameter in the static method. We now have our v2 document with our single endpoint. The next task is to migrate the post endpoint. We'll do the same as before, so we go into the products endpoint and copy and paste the code. We'll fix the syntax issue and return TypedResults for each of them. We'll then add it to the group, but this time we're going to call group.mapPost. We'll specify / as the root and then reference createAsync. We've also done the same for updating and deleting, but the difference this time is that for the update we've added mapput, and for the delete we've added mapDelete. And here's the final result. We've got a version 1 with all the controller endpoints, and we've got a version 2 with all the minimal API endpoints. The good thing about using TypedResults is that it adds the expected return types to the OpenAPI documentation. But there's also a way of adding other return types that are not featured in your minimal API endpoints. Here's how you do that. An example of this is throwing a bad request when creating a product throws a validation problem. Now with controllers you have to add yet another attribute which adds to the code bloat. But if you want to add it in minimal APIs, you add it to the mapping by calling produces validation problem, and this will default to 400 bad requests in the API documentation. You can override it by adding the status code in the parameter. We might also want to add an expected status code to each of the mappings in the group. We do that by adding produces problem to the group and specifying the status code. So this time we're going to specify 500 internal server error as an expected response code. Now the great thing about this is that it's added that problem to each of the mappings in the group. Minimal APIs are more lightweight and flexible than controllers. They're the recommended approach in .NET, and if you want to see more content like this, subscribe to the channel as I'll be featuring minimal API best practices and features. But there are still some common minimal API myths that put developers off. The good news is that I've debunked them in this video, so I'll see you over there.